All right, here we are at another week of perSPECtive. Just to keep everyone refreshed, we are now on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. So if you want to check it out there, if you don't want to see our face, just listen to our voices, you can do that there. Because we know how ugly Keegan's is.
Ryan, you gotta do the attack right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. I love it, man. How's your week going?
Mine, good.
Yeah, yours.
Just had a virtual work party for Christmas today. That was weird.
Okay. It was weird. What is that?
It's weird having a Zoom meeting with 186 people in it. It's weird.
How do you do that without like talking over each other?
Most of us just refuse to be on camera for that because it's just too many people. But it was good. It was fine. Got some good news from the company and got some good incentive stuff, which was nice. It was fun.
That's cool. And you guys, it was really nice. You said you got all your back pay and your little bonus.
Yeah, the back pay and a bonus it was a good Christmas present from them, which is nice because I got way too many board games this week, so I need to make up for that.
We got $100 gift card to Amazon was our thing.
Hey, more board games.
Yeah, but we also had to pay tax on it.
Oh, that's
okay. We're just like, what? Couldn't you just like give us $100 like little bonus where people could spend it on food or like rent or something people may need, but whatever.
Yeah, the bonus that we got, our president was like, or the owner of the company was like, so Congress isn't doing anything to give you guys a stimulus package, so we're gonna do something.
Wow.
So
that's a good company.
Yeah,
okay.
It was nice.
Yeah.
How about you? What's new besides your Amazon gift card?
A lot of World of Warcraft. Been doing that.
You nerd.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, I've been playing Hearthstone a bunch again, and I hate it.
I see you have your Runes of Arnak rulebook out. Don't you already know it?
Yeah, I'm doing a teach at 7 for people that haven't played it before, so I just have this as a reference just in case.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, this week we have another guest. We're really excited to have him on. Welcome, Harry, from whenharrymetboardgames7. This is his 7th attempt at it. And he's successful, right? Was I wrong on that?
Oh, no, I think I might have created an account earlier with my original name, forgotten the password. When I went back onto it, they're like, it's used, couldn't remember the old password. So I'm just like, okay, I got to throw in a number. Lucky number 7. That's pretty much the reasoning behind it.
I love it. Well, we saw that you just hit some big numbers on your account, 6,000 followers, 600 subs on YouTube. Congratulations.
Yes. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
How long ago did you start that?
I count January 21st of this year as my beginning. That's when I started actually posting stuff, uploading stuff. I created the email account like in September of last year or something like that, but I left it there, didn't touch it, didn't use it, kind of was procrastinating. That's my baby girl, by the way. Baby, that is busy. You might hear that every so often.
We had that with Kelly too. That's okay.
But yeah, January 21st was when I started posting and uploading on Instagram and on YouTube.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, well then it's taken off pretty quick.
Oh yeah, I've been very fortunate, very busy.
Yeah.
I have the advantage that I'm currently a stay-at-home daddy.
Yeah.
So I have that flexibility. I do have to take care of the kids and all that stuff, but I can cheat and find little moments within a day where I can put in some time for Instagram, record some videos on YouTube and things like that.
Right.
That a person who has a full-time job obviously can do.
Yeah.
Right.
And is that your shirt say, I have too many board games?
Yes, and then the rest of it said no one ever.
I was about to say that can't be your real thing.
I need that shirt, yeah. That's a great shirt. But
yeah.
So how old is it just one
2 kids.
Two
I have
kids.
a boy and a girl. My son just turned 5. We just celebrated his 5th birthday a week ago.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
So he's already, playing some games.
That's great.
I teach him like a new game a month.
That's awesome.
Obviously, not the same kind of games I play on my free time, but getting him ready. And then I have a 2.5-year-old baby girl.
Okay.
I still call her a baby, but she'll always be my baby.
I mean, I'm 31 and my mom still calls me that, so I guess it's a thing. Do you try to do any videos with your son there?
I do. If you check out my channel, you'll see that maybe every other month or so, I post a video with my son and I doing like a playthrough of a children's game.
Yeah.
They don't get lots of views, but it's kind of like a personal thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's me doing something with my son. Right.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, my channel means a lot to me. My son means a lot to me. So if I could find a way of combining the two, I'm always excited.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the end of the video, I'll also post or combine the video with like a home video of his.
Okay.
Saying something cute. And again, it's more for me.
Yeah.
I know that my viewers don't really watch it. I think the most views any of his games ever got was like in the 30s or something like that. So, but again, it's for us, for memories.
Yeah.
You never know too that maybe there's gonna be some of those people in those 30s that really were looking for games about like for kids game stuff, and that's like the perfect thing that they watched.
Max has been trying to do that with his son. He's been trying to get him to he'll play point salad with him, and we've tried to film it. He's not always very cooperative. It's really funny.
How old is Max's son?
He's 5.
5.
Yeah.
Salad. 5. Wow.
Yeah. He can kind of get it a bit. His son is on the autistic scale, so he can he's good with some of that math and figuring some of that out. But then it's also hard to get him to just focus on the us filming. So it's kind of funny. He won't cooperate. It's
absolutely. I totally get it. My son is also on the spectrum, and as a matter of fact, I do have a video. It was one of my earlier videos. Yeah. But it was basically tips for playing board games with children who are on the autistic spectrum.
Okay. Oh, cool.
And it was something I was proud of. It didn't get lots of views, but it got like 100+ views actually. So compared to the other videos that are children related, it did pretty good. But I could totally resonate with that challenge of keeping their attention for a game.
Yeah. So, who would you contribute to getting you into board games? Who would if you had a book, who would you thank in your book at the beginning?
I'd be one of those people that has like a whole page dedicated to people you would think, right? I mean, honestly, going back as like early childhood, I would say my sister, my older sister, was influential. She played lots of card games with me, like bicycle deck card games and lots of the typical mass market games. But it did kind of instill that love for that family game night kind of setting in me. Now, as far as the modern hobby is concerned, I guess I would contribute it to YouTube, which is kind of one of the reasons why I'm giving back in that sense. I was exposed to Dice Tower, Tom Vassell and the Dice Tower about 5 years ago. Okay. And it was really like eye-opening for me. And so I think my sister in my personal life would be the person I would attribute it to. And as far as like someone within the hobby, a personality, I guess I'd say Tom Bass and the Dice.
Okay. Who is your favorite personality now of everyone out there?
Oh man, not counting myself, of course, right?
Of course.
Of course.
There's a lot of people I like. I like Rotto. I like Broken Meeple. Okay. A channel that gets no recognition, but I like their personality, kind of appeals to me. Family Showdown. Don't know if you guys heard of them.
Showdown. I think it sounds familiar. I might have to see the faces to remember if I watched.
Yeah. Our family plays games. They've got some good stuff going on lately. They were even on Good Morning America a couple months ago.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's big time.
Yeah, that is big time. Oh,
it's hard to pick a personality. I like and appreciate a lot of them. You know, there's lots of Instagram pages that I follow that I look at them, and I think the stuff that they're doing is really cool. So
yeah. Does your sister still, like, has she expanded out into board games like you have, or she's
it's
just
funny
kind of
because my sister's children, who are grown men, about to be 21 and 19. They're not little kids. They're some of the people that I play with most often, right? And I also play with my little niece, her children, and my little niece is about to be 13. And we play with my wife and all of us, and every once in a while we try to get my sister to come in, but unless it's like a party game or something, she won't join us. So, but hey, at least we passed it down to the next generation, right?
I mean, that's awesome that you have that many family members, though, that you can play with and be a part of that. Right now, I'm kind of the only one in my family that have that, and yeah, it's kind of just been friends that I've had to find, but so that's really awesome. I love that. I love that you guys.
Has there been a game that's been hitting the table most often with you and your family right now? Or does it kind of just keep rotating?
Yeah, we definitely rotate. My wife hates that about me, but yeah, I'm so OCD and methodical about how I play games. Obviously, the games I love more, they do hit the table more often, but I try my best to not neglect games. Yeah. It's a hard question to answer.
What's the most hit game? Which game comes to the table the most?
Well, I'm going to say the game that comes to the table the most, because it's one of my favorite games, and because I could play it with so many of the people I game with, and I could play it solo, is Marvel Legendary.
Marvel Legendary. Okay.
Cool.
I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah. Deck building game, Marvel theme. Really fun game.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Max had that a bit ago, but he ended up getting rid of it. He said it was a pretty good game, yeah. Just hadn't had a chance to play it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Does your family then, will they expand out into some of the heavier games, some of the deck builder, worker placement, Euro style games too?
It's funny. So I got a bunch of people. I have like a patch up job of a bunch of different people I game with. I got like 4 or 5 friends, my nephews, my niece, my wife, and among them, that's how I get my fix, right? So my wife is the most inclined to like heavier, mid to heavy Euros. My wife is the most inclined to those. And then I have this one friend, his name is Andrew, and he's just a blank page. I could just bring any game to the table and he'll play with me. I love him. Andrew, if you're watching, I love you, man. It's just the ideal person to game with, right? He'll never ask to pick the game. He'll never pick a fight over which game to play. He's just like, oh yeah, that's what we're playing. Okay, cool, Yeah. And we'll always have something good to say about the game after we play it. So, but aside from that, I would say the heavier games tend to not click with lots of the other people I play with. Like, for example, my nephews, I might get to introduce a mid to heavy Euro. They might try it 2 or 3 times, but most often it doesn't click with them, and we have to move on.
So you said your wife does that. Is she very competitive? Do you guys get heated when you go at her? What's that dynamic you got going on?
Is very competitive. And I am a recovering competitor. I've tried to change my ways in the last 4 or 5 years since I got into the hobby, because I realized I play close to like 1,000 games a year. If I make a big deal every time I lose, I'm gonna be making a big deal quite often, right? So using that logic, I was like, I've got to get better at this losing thing, right? So my wife hasn't quite caught up to me in that regard, but but she's made a lot of improvement too. I have to give her credit. But yeah, she's very, very competitive. And sometimes when she beats me, she rubs it in my face. And when I beat her, I regret having played her to begin with. Because it's like, oh, I'm in the doghouse now. But it's just a game. You know, but again, she's made lots of improvement. I got to make sure this is public. I got to make sure her credit. She's made lots of strides in the last couple of years.
You and I can relate to that very, very well. My wife is the same way. She's very, very competitive, especially if she picks the game. Like if she saw a game in the store and she bought it because she thought it looked great and she wants to play it, and if I beat her in it, don't hear the end of it. But usually if we play a new game, she's like 80% of the time, 85% of the time she wins.
Okay.
Yeah, Cat's good.
My wife, it's actually, what she'll say is, this game wasn't even good and I lost. What's going on here? You know, like if she doesn't enjoy the process and loses, forget about it. There's no way she's gonna be a good sportsman about it, you know?
My wife's go-to phrase is, I hate this game. And then the next day we actually have a game discussion. She goes, no, I really, really liked it. I was just mad that you won.
Oh my god, that's great. Yeah, I get pretty competitive myself, and I'll notice I'll get a little frustrated when I lose, and I'm like, I really need to like catch myself doing it. I'm like, no, it's cool. It was a lot of fun. I just had fun. Let's look at the game. Yeah.
It's one of the things I'm actually working on with my son right now, because he's at that age where losing is like the worst thing in the world. So I always tell him, I'm like, buddy, we're playing to have fun, right? If you're not having fun, then what are we playing for, right? So try to instill that in him early on.
Yeah, sure.
Good dad move there. Good dad move.
Yeah. So did you get your wife into board games, or was she already kind of knew about it, liked it beforehand?
Definitely got her into board games. You know, my wife, nobody in her family ever played any games really growing up. So it wasn't something she did as a child. Early on in our relationship, we played some mass market games from time to time kind of thing. So I always knew that she would be game. She would be down. But then when I started getting into the hobby, I totally immersed her with me. You know, we kind of have like a best buddy relationship, thank God. And so it was one of those things where when I got into it, I wanted to get her into it as well. She's not nearly as into it as I am, but she likes it. She enjoys the experience.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's great to hear. We had a discussion with Caroline. Why am I spacing on her handle here?
Lycopene Geek.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had a whole couples discussion of like being with somebody that either likes the hobby or doesn't, and I hope that I can have a relationship like you and Keegan here, that you can play with your significant other. So I always like hearing about couples that game together, and interesting to hear how they got into the board games. Either one got the other, or they both found each other because of it, whatever. I always like hearing those stories. Yeah, so we did forget to mention at the beginning that our topic this week was going to be games before 2010. Harry came to us with this topic. You said those are a lot of the games that you like, and did you say that's what a lot of your content is on? Okay. Very interesting, because I know for Keegan and I, we probably play a little bit more of newer games, and are constantly getting new games, and are going to be reviewing some of the ones that just come out. So to try to look back was like, ooh, okay, wait, how many games do I have that are actually before, like, more than 10 years old? I have a few, and I got some on my list that I like.
I was kind of surprised that when I was looking at the list, I was like, how many games do I own that were actually printed before 2010? I was like, I own more than I thought that were printed before 2010. I was shocked.
I was looking at the list, and I'm like, dang, there's quite a few games here that have held up for 15 plus years. And I'm like, yeah, these are some solidly designed games. So let's get into this talk a bit. I guess I should say, what is it about some of these older games that you like so much?
Well, for me, it's kind of like, with everything I do, I've always been a historian of sorts, right? So sports, movies, music, whatever I end up getting into, I always kind of like understanding the history of things. Sure. So for me, it was the same thing with gaming, with board games. I got into it, started learning about games, started watching videos about older games, and then just appreciating like the development, the progression. And what sometimes people might not notice is the fact that many of today's games are standing on the shoulders of greats, right? Games that came before them, games that experimented with some of these mechanisms or innovated some of these mechanisms. And, now hundreds and hundreds of good, well-produced games come out a year. The component quality is so superior. So I'm never going to make the argument that, recent games don't look a million times better than these older games. But a lot of these games, they're really, really good. They're forgotten about because as soon as people get into the hobby, they're bombarded with all of these new shiny toys, and then there's kind of like the peer pressure thing where your friends within the hobby, they just got this game, so guess what? I gotta get this game too. Yeah. And nobody talks about these games. And also another reason, honestly speaking, why I've gotten into this is because from very early on in my experience, I kind of knew that I wanted to get into this other side of the hobby as far as, social media, YouTube, and all that stuff. So I figured, hey, I have to have something to distinguish me from other people, and not too many people are covering older games. Usually everybody's talking about the games that haven't even yet been released. Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well,
that's awesome.
Would you like to start us off on one of your games that you want to...
All right. Absolutely. Yeah. So I got some games here. I figured I'd pick older titles that happen to be more obscure because I'm just going to mention the ones that are massively successful till this day. So one of these right here is Carcassonne the Castle. Carcassonne, big popular game. People hear about it all the time. This game, I will warn, is out of print, so there is that challenge. But I actually got this for a great price. Brand new too, because this game, usually people sell it used for like $100 or what have you. But I got this for like $35 in shipping, which was one of the greatest Grail experiences of my life. I was so excited to get it. But this is basically a 2-player only Carcassonne game with some innovations from the original Carcassonne. Really, really like it. Plays really tight with 2 players, which for me, Carcassonne is best at 2 players anyway. So this just strips away the possibility of having a 3rd or 4th player and really makes it a tight experience. So there's Carcassonne the Castle. I also got Palazzo here, another game that people never hear or mention, and this is still in print. I'm pretty sure it's still in print, from Rio Grande. And this game is very similar to Alhambra. You guys are familiar with Alhambra? Classic, Spiel des Jahres, successful game. Very similar to it, but I actually like where it deviates from it. So while you can see that it was influenced by Alhambra, it came a couple years afterward. The ways that they chose to go in a different path, I actually prefer it over Alhambra. Really cool midweight Euro game, tile placement. And then here's another one. Popular designer Uwe Rosenberg's Mercator.
Mercator,
And this game, I've talked about it on my channel. It's such an ugly looking game. I mean, seriously, like by 2020 standards, this game doesn't stand a chance. And it's not even one of those things where you have an ugly, typical Euro cover on a box, but you open up the game and it looks nice inside. No, this game is ugly inside out. Okay, it's hideous.
Calling him out.
Yes. but it gets the job done. I mean, even the cubes, like they've got so many different resources, and instead of having a different color cube for every resource, it's like the cubes cover multiple resources. So every color cube can represent one of two different resources. So they got really stingy and lazy here. But mechanically speaking, this game is sound. It's a nice, neat pickup and delivery, contract fulfillment game. Really plays really well solo. I would say it's one of Uwe's better solo games. And again, if this game looked pretty, I think it would have been much more successful. This is like the forgotten stepchild of Uwe. Nobody thinks about this game. I mean, even the board is it's a map of Europe, but it's like an abstracted map.
Yeah.
They don't even get like a legitimate geographical map of Europe. It's like a bunch of squares representing the different countries. You know, that is it's ridiculous. It doesn't catch anybody's attention. But again, mechanically speaking, and you could get behind past all that stuff, it's a really, really good game.
All right. I'm going to pause. Hang on. I'm going to pause you right there. I'm going to pause you right there. Well, Keegan and I, we usually like go back and forth. So that's okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Interrupt me.
No. I mean, a lot of these games you're going to be, I'm sure, teaching us or introducing us to new ones. So super looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Keegan, if you want to give a game that you really enjoy before 2010?
Yeah. So we already said Harry's going to be the more knowledgeable one on all this than us, so our lists are going to be much more limited. But one of my first game I want to bring up, because I have like 5 or 6 I could talk about, and the first one I want to bring up is a more of a mass market game that had a special place in my heart for a long time, but I sold it this year. And it is not highly rated at all on Board Game Geek, but it is the
Monopoly.
Pokemon Master Trainer game. The Pokemon Master Trainer game I remember playing so much as a kid, and one because of I was such a Pokemon kid. I'm still super into Pokemon now, but going through Board Game Geek, people have made updated rules for the game and like made things to be like, this makes the game more balanced. Also, you can play the game now with modern Pokemon typing, and it actually affects what happens in the game. So they've eliminated some of the randomness to it. The game is pretty much just a huge cash grab for Pokemon fans, and I'll 100% admit that. But the fact that people are still like, someone bought it for me like within 30 minutes of me posting it. So the fact that people are still looking for the game surprises me, because it was printed in 1999. And the fact that there's still active people on BGG talking about it and updating the rules for it, I also find surprising. So something about the game, besides the fact that it's Pokemon themed, draws people into it. And I admit that it does have really cool components, and the art's really cool, and the idea of the game is great. It wasn't totally developed correctly. That's why there's all these erratas now from people that just love it. But it was a very cool game at the time, I think.
Okay. Dang, yeah. So since you already mentioned it, Harry, and this has been, I've talked about this game so many times. It's in my top 5 games, and was one of the games that I started early on in my board gaming career, as if I'm getting paid for this. Hobby, addiction is Carcassonne. Carcassonne, which, by the way, how much are you gonna sell me that castle for? We're just gonna we'll
for you, $100. Just because I like you. Just because I like you, Ryan.
Yeah, I've talked about Carcassonne on almost every episode so far, but just something about it. I love it. It's just that tile laying. There's not really much like it that really kind of hits that same. It gets that same feeling, that warmness that I get when I play it, just that really fun feeling. And I've been lately, Carly from Gnarly Carly Gaming, her and I have just had like a competition on Board Game Arena of 2 players just battling it out, her and I agree it's really great at 2 players. Really solid game. So, and I didn't realize it's 2 came out in 2000, so a 20-year-old game, and I'm like, it still just holds up so well.
Aren't they still making expansions for it too?
No,
Are they
not
done?
anymore.
They're still making spin-offs. I think they made the Safari spin-off maybe 2 years ago. That's the last product I think they had for it. But sometimes they go a few years in between releases, so there might be more stuff coming out.
I don't know if there's actually any more expansions though for it. They might have gone through them all.
They're done with expansions.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna stay in my collection. I have a whole bunch of the upgraded stuff for it, and yeah, absolutely love it. I should just start collecting all the other spin-off ones just to have the collection. But so Carcassonne was gonna be one of my top. Like, it's my top one. Probably was gonna save it for last, but since you brought it up, might as well say it. And another one that is in my collection is a great one, another Uwe, Agricola, that obviously a lot of people know about, but still holds up really well. Though I think I prefer Caverna over Agricola. But for Agricola being 13 years old now, is still just one of those that you almost is like a history that you look back and kind of learn what they did, and a lot of games then branch off from it. So it's definitely one that if people haven't played, take a look at that, Agricola.
Also, play it twice.
Yeah.
From personal experience, play it twice, because I used to hate that game. I hated Agricola for the longest time, and I played it again 4 years later, and fell in love with it. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So Harry, you want to continue with your list?
Yeah, sure. So I was going to mention a game that's mentioned a little bit more. I see it on my Instagram feed from time to time, and that's Stefan Feld's Notre Dame. And this game, really cool, combines some neat card drafting with a little bit of cube pushing, but the cube pushing is kind of like, it's very reminiscent of worker placement, because you place the cubes in particular spots and they trigger particular actions. Really cool, neat game. It plays very quickly. Again, there's kind of like a theme here with ugly looking games. Yeah, sorry guys. This is 2007, and yeah, but this board is just terrible looking. So you kind of have to, get past that. I think nowadays we're spoiled with all these games that sometimes, let's be honest, there's some games that are like just god awful, but have wonderful components, right?
Yep.
Eye candy. And it's gonna get sales just because of that. People are gonna buy it just for the components. If it has miniatures, forget about it, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you kind of have to get past that with these older games, and kind of feed into that curiosity. You got to be curious about seeing what this game has to offer. So, but this is a really, really neat game, Notre Dame.
Harry, have you seen the Shut Up and Sit Down review for Etherfields that just came out?
No, I have not.
It's that you saying pretty games that don't have substance or aren't that great. That made me think of it, because that was a huge Kickstarter a year ago, and Shut Up and Sit Down did a 30-minute review on it, and they just railed into the game. and legit, like an hour after the video came up, there was like 20 or 30 on sale in the BGG marketplace. Like, it flipped that quick. Yeah.
I've heard some people say good things about Etherfields. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard some people say they really, really like it, but there's other people that say like it's just a lot of like too much going on for its own good. But
then again, lots of people when they back something on Kickstarter feel committed to like it, right? So
yeah. And Kickstarter's almost become like this cesspool of like these large games with miniatures that I don't know how really successful they are, like game wise, design wise. They're just like these crazy huge games that have these really fantastically designed minis, but then when it comes to the actual substance, I don't know.
Yeah.
Give me an ugly Euro game over anything. Give me ugly. Stefan Feld games are all hideous, but his games are great.
Has this become an episode of terrible looking board games that are great?
That should have been the theme. I'm sorry, guys.
I mean, that's a whole other episode too. I know. Yeah.
Part two.
Also, one that seems like that Keegan that you just mentioned. It seems like an interesting discussion to have with almost like a couple of people, like a round table discussion, is like how influential some of these board game influencers, right, can really like almost make and break a board game now. If Shut Up and Sit Down does not like it, well, that sucks. Like your game, like apparently, like you said, people just a whole bunch are just gonna go up for sale, and you're like, well, shit. It's because the board game industry has become that now, where we have several of these influencers that can really determine a game's success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that leads to we need more reviewers and people out there so that we have more opinions on games. So it's not just comes down to a couple people deciding whether the game's going to be good or bad.
And honestly, people have to like look into a second or third opinion, right? I mean, if anything, I would say when you hear a negative review, you should be more inclined to get a second opinion. It's kind of like in real life. When you get bad news, you want a second, third, fourth opinion, right?
Yeah.
So same thing with games. Get a second perspective. It's more complete picture of what the game has to offer.
You should also find that reviewer that you connect with, like game-wise. Like, I'm not going to listen to Tom Vassell reviews because him and I don't have the same game tastes. But Z Garcia and I line up a lot more. So if I hear Z say, like, this abstract two-player game is great, I'm more inclined to be like, okay, if Z likes it, I probably will like it as well.
Yeah.
But there's some games that Tom says he hates that, like, I totally love. So it's you have to find the reviewer you click with, but then also, like you guys have been saying, you got to hear every perspective. And with
I think Tom was like you were a few years ago. He'd play a game once and that's it. He would hate it.
you
gotta be willing to give a game a few chances, a few tries.
You never know what's going to grow on you.
Kind of like, I mean, kind of what PAX is doing. I mean, now I've played it several times now, and I'm starting to form a more nuanced opinion of it. But I mean, it's changed over time, and I agree. You need multiple plays before you're gonna really start understanding
a hard rule of mine. I will not play a game any less than twice. If I despise it, I will still play it twice.
Definitely. And I guess it also begs the question of how should reviewers be presenting the board games in themselves, like being able to really present to their audience the types of games they like and what they're looking for exactly, so that the audience can find those reviewers that they click with, right? And be like, okay, yeah, this person, I can point to them, and it's not just I mean, I'm pretty sure that just talking board games, you can start seeing their opinion, but I wonder if there's good ways of actually, like, presenting that material to help people understand where, like, exactly what your mindset is, what you really like, and let them find pretty easily the reviewers they like and connect with.
I think nowadays too, with the age of COVID, a lot of I want to say COVID is a big reason this has been a bit more of a thing, it seems like, but a lot of people for Kickstarters have been putting their games on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia, and you can try it online first before you decide, like, I'm gonna back this, which I think is excellent. Like, I'm borderline over Kickstarter, mainly with the idea of people doing Kickstarter exclusive, where if you don't back the game, you won't get it. I feel like that's such, like, a cash grab, like, act of being like, you should back us because you get this one extra, like, pickle meeple or whatever, and, like, why I like Leader so much is, like, Leader Games doesn't do that. They're like, just back us because the game is good. But then also watching reviewers that just play the game but then don't give any opinion about it at the end, I think is also great, because you can see a full playthrough and make the decision for yourself, like, this is how the game works, this really clicks with me, I like this idea, or if I was phasing in and out watching this playthrough, maybe this game isn't for me.
Yeah. So that was our side rant.
And a good one.
For sure.
So, Keegan, you got another game you want to chat about?
Yeah, speaking of ugly games,
yes, this is there's a second. This is a subtitle. Also, ugly board games that are great. Yeah.
for my ugly section of the night, splotter spelling games that are pre 2010. Just the ones that came to mind specifically are Bus, which is pretty much considered the first worker placement game from 1999, I believe. And then the new edition that Capstone released last year is such a nice upgrade, in my opinion. Now, some people like the old, it looks like a child drew the map style of the game, but it's something. And then Antiquity is incredible, and that game I think it's a 2004, 2005. And Antiquity is amazing. That game's also, it's very brown. It's just all brown and beige. That's the whole game. And black from the pollution discs. But man, that game makes you so angry. Like, it's in a good way.
Not because of what
the other player did, because what you did. You messed up. The whole game, like, Ryan and I played 2-player game, and it's considered the best at 2-player. And we played, a 2-hour game, but you and I didn't interact until an hour and 40 minutes in.
Yeah. And
there was so many moments I was going, oh, damn it, because we messed ourselves up.
You fuck yourself up so much.
So much. If you get a chance to play a splotter game and you like games that are a bit more aggressive and a bit more that can lead to swearing at the table and yelling at your friends, get past what the splotter games look like, because they play amazingly. They're such great games.
I agree. Yeah, all the ones that we played so far are really ugly. That first time we played Great Zimbabwe, we talked about just creating our own personal one
out of wood,
just to make it simply a nicer looking game. I mean, the game is fantastic. Like, just first time played it, I was like, I really like this. This is fantastic.
Zimbabwe's in my top 10.
Yeah, but goddamn, this is ugly. This could easily be made beautiful and whatnot, but definitely. And probably one that a lot of people don't quite know about. I mean, a lot of splotter games, I'm sure some newer board gamers don't quite know about, because you don't really see them on shelves a lot.
Splotter is a cult thing, I think. You get to a certain level in the hobby and you play your first splotter game and you either are a part of the cult or you're not. Like, I don't think there's like a middle.
Splotter suffers of the same problem that these older games do, right? The visual aesthetic appeal isn't there, and a lot of these people, that's what they're looking for.
And the price point too. Like, those games are expensive, mainly because it's just two guys making the games on their own in their free time. It's not their main job, so which is why I like supporting them so much. Like, they deserve the money because their ideas are amazing. So, speaking of which, plug. Great Zimbabwe is getting reprinted. It's coming out in April. So if you don't have it, go pre-order it.
I pre-ordered it.
It's amazing.
That's right. I pre-ordered it at Dojo.
Good. Get it. It's so good, and it's gonna be out of print again because they do this weird rotation with their print runs, and the cheapest you'll find is $200. So just get it now.
Can I just go buy two real quick?
Go buy two. One to flip and one to keep.
God. Or for a giveaway later. That'd be a good one.
For a giveaway,
if we could get one. Yeah, just for a fun giveaway. Sure. Okay.
They have a new game coming out this coming year too about horses. So.
About horses, interesting.
It's called like Horse Wagon or the Wagon, something like that. It's about like horse-drawn carriages going into cars, I think. Like that transition into going from horse-drawn carriages into vehicles.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I got a game here that I didn't realize was this old, but apparently, it is, how old is this now? 35 years old, and yet everyone has had run-ins with it, or is the game that got them into board games. Keegan, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Catan?
Yeah.
1995. I did not realize it was that old of a game. Which I'm very impressed with, that the fact that it could, almost everyone you talk to has the story of Catan was one of the ones that got me into the hobby, right? And you're like, wow, 35 years later and this game is still doing that for people.
And they just republished a new edition of it.
Yeah. For it being a mediocre game, that's I can't even put in I don't know that I could rate it more than a 6 on like BGG, but it's still like whatever they did, people are super drawn to it, and I guess it is apparently a really good gateway game that it gives people a bit of luck that can help draw them in without like being intimidating, but also gives a little bit more nuance and strategy that you want to have in a game that will help lead to other games and help them actually like understand, oh hey, I did this in this game, I kind of understand how it translates over into this new game, this more heavier game with a little less luck. So as much as I don't ever want to play it again, I have to give them props for hitting that on the nail, for really being able to draw people into the hobby. So
good job, Klaus Teuber.
Mm-hmm. Well done. I don't know, what is your opinion on it, Harry?
Well, my opinion, Catan, like you said, definitely was one of my most influenced me early on in my experience. Started playing Catan maybe 9 years ago. It's been a long time. And for me, it was a very eye-opening experience because at that point, everything was mass market, right? So, and really older games. But I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I don't necessarily want to play this game. I still own my copy. I haven't gotten rid of it, sentimental reasons. And also a few of the people I game with still like it. But I definitely think that for its time, it was great. And what it's accomplished in the industry as far as bringing people over and kind of globalizing this style, this European style of gameplay and game mechanisms, and spreading it throughout the world, I've got to give it lots of props for that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's any game I can think of that's more considered a hobby game that people that aren't gamers have played and know how to play it.
Yep.
Like, you could take that to a corporate party and be like, anyone here want to play Catan? And more than likely someone will be like, yep, definitely. And they don't play games normally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those classic Catan players.
I don't know if there is any other game that influential within this hobby that could really say it did what it's done.
No.
So as much as we want to shit on it, I appreciate what it has done for the industry.
Klaus Teuber definitely made a magnum opus that's gonna like one of those your legacy is gonna live on forever things. Like, that's gonna just be that's gonna stick around in the hobby forever. Like, that's not ever gonna go anywhere.
What, the Beatles, the AC/DC of board game industry. It's gonna live on, and the old, like, we're gonna have our children's children and gonna be like, yeah, we know Catan.
Yep.
Right? And it's always gonna, like, it just seems like it's just gonna keep coming back. And
definitely, absolutely.
We're retro. We still play that. Right? I just wanted to bring that up, but one that another game that's it's getting older now, 16 years, that is one that I will always tell people to play over Monopoly, Power Grid. I've only gotten to play it once, and just understand how much better at its I don't know words. I struggle at the English language. Just what it does. Yeah, thank you. Its execution just is far superior to Monopoly. And yeah, it's one that I'll say, like, when people are like, hey, I like Monopoly, whatever. I'm like, well, you should, like, if I want to try to help get someone into it, and that's something they've done, I say, well, try Power Grid. It has that same economic strategy behind it, but has that less luck, and just it does it a little bit more effectively. Have you played? It sounded like you guys both have played before.
I love Power Grid. Love it. It's a great game. And honestly speaking, it's a little heavy, definitely heavier than Monopoly.
Yeah.
But I feel like people can get to it, if they really want to. There's a lot of number crunching, but I do feel like once you figure out the phase order of all the different things you're doing on your turn, it's smooth sailing from that point forward. And it's such a rich game.
Yeah.
And it's so much more exciting than Monopoly.
Yeah.
Monopoly is just not an exciting game, right? After a while, you know who's going to win, but you got to endure the process anyhow.
Yeah. And
with
just
Power Grid, it's been my experience that usually you might find a person or two who's out of the running, but you still don't know quite who's going to win. So it's exciting even figuring that out.
Yeah, it doesn't really overstay its welcome either. Like you said, like you don't have to like play it like with Monopoly. You might know who's going to win earlier on, yet you're still playing this game out for so long, and you're like, okay, this just outlet. Grandma, God damn it, we're done. It's 1 a.m. Grandma, I'm done. Yeah, flipping the table over because fuck Monopoly.
Teach Grandma some Power Grid.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I definitely, for it being a bit older of a game too. Yeah, it's higher and more successful for me. So really appreciate that one. And I'm glad that there is something there that could, for those that I know have played those Monopoly, whatever Hasbro games, those mass market ones, and are interested in, are willing to get into more, I can at least point them to something to say, hey, I can give you a little bit more of that same experience that you can enjoy, while also giving you a little bit more challenge and enjoyment, and not having to feel overstaying its welcome. And yeah, so that's mine.
All right, do we want to snake draft around, and we'll get Harry last, since he was the guest, and he can wrap us up with some really cool, more interesting stuff that we might not know about.
Yes.
Cool.
So this isn't a game that I played, but I've played its successor and really enjoyed it, and but still deserves a shout out for kind of like its succession, and that's Brass. I've played Brass Birmingham and really loved it. Brass is from 2007, but just like that entire line, Lancaster, I think those games are really great. I've been looking for a deluxe copy of Birmingham. I definitely want to try out just the original Brass to see how it holds up for being 13 years old now. But I did, like, knowing Brass Birmingham, how fantastic it is. I want to see, kind of like the roots of where it kind of started. And so I wanted to bring that up and kind of give a shout out and say, hey, for there is this kind of like line of succession. If you played Brass Birmingham, go definitely check out, Brass. I don't know, have you played that, Harry?
I have not played Brass, but people are constantly talking about it on Instagram, so it's definitely one of like 1,000 games on my.
Yeah. So Keegan, you haven't played it either, have you?
I've not played Brass. I've played Birmingham and own it, but I would be very curious to play the old one as well. I want to play Lancashire too, just to see like all the differences between them.
Yeah. Maybe someone in our comments who has someone watching can comment about it. They played.
Yep.
But
we'll do a Brass month and just brass through everything.
Okay, Keegan.
Okay, so I'll give one quick shout out to a game, and I'll do my final one. So shout out to Glory to Rome. I did not realize Glory to Rome was 2005.
Oh dang. Okay.
Yeah, but good luck finding a copy. Harry, have you played?
I have not played because I have not had luck finding a copy for a good price. So
yeah, it's that you can don't print your own, but you can. I definitely didn't print my own. But it's very good if you can find a copy or bring your own, or find someone who has a copy. It leads to a really hectic, chaotic game. It's great. But my last game is gonna be my oldest game on the list, and it's 1997. And I'm just gonna do there's two. I didn't realize they both were 1997. So the first one is going to be Tigris and Euphrates.
Yes. Okay.
Which is fantastic. Brian, you and I played both our first game with Dan, and that was over a year ago now, which is insane.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. But Tigris and Euphrates is incredible. One playthrough that I was like, yep, this is my type of game. It's amazing. It forces you to vary your strategy up because you only score whatever you have the lowest number in. So you want to try to have an equal number of all your stuff, which I think is 3 different colors, green, blue, and red. So you want to have that spread evenly throughout so you can make sure you're scoring the maximum points you can. Love that scoring mechanic. It's so cool, especially for being 1997. It would not have thought that that's when that came out. This seems like such a modern idea. It's great. And the other one, which is a dumb party game that I've recently have had way too much fun with, is Bonanza, another Uwe Rosenberg game. Bonanza is absolutely stupid, and it's great. You're just a bean farmer farming beans, trying to get money. And it's just a really simple card game where you do some trading and you're planting beans in your bean farm. But the interesting part about the game is you can't reorder your hand. Whatever your hand order is, that's it. You can't do any hand shuffling, which being an old TCG player like myself, playing Yu-Gi-Oh! The hand shuffle addiction is really bad to break. But Bonanza's incredible, especially you can play up to 7 players, I believe. It just goes super quick. It's a lot of fun yelling at each other for a stink bean. It's great. It's such a fun time.
Yes, it's been a while since I played that. That's a while ago, yeah.
Well, my wife and I, we played Bonanza the Duel, the 2-player version of it. It's actually, it grew on me. My wife liked it from the beginning. It's a pretty good game. It's not under the category of older than 2010, though. It came out in 2017, but
Oh,
good game for 2-player only Bonanza.
I need to check that out now.
Keegan, I forgot. I wanted to kind of give a shout out because we did we're doing our little 3-2-1 video of it. But did you know 7 Wonders came out in 2000?
What was that, Harry?
2010.
Oh wow.
7 Wonders, yeah. And we recently just did 7 Wonders Duel, which that one's fairly new, right?
Yeah, 2014, 2015, I think.
Oh, is it that old? Right. Okay, never mind. It was a little bit older than I thought. But really loved Duel. So want to try. Haven't tried 7, just the original game, 7 Wonders, which I really want to try now because I had a lot of fun with Duel. So, and yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh dang, yeah, it's that old. Okay.
All right, Harry. Round it out with some new games.
All right. Well, since Keegan mentioned 2 games, I'm going to mention 2. I was only going to mention 1, but
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, do 2.
Actually, 1 is a segue from something you mentioned. You brought up Tigris and Euphrates, so I thought I would bring up Euphrates and Tigris, a contest for kings, which is actually the card version of Tigris and Euphrates. And I know sometimes people want to hear about the card versions of a bigger game. But I'm going to say this. I think it pretty much plays out like Tigris and Euphrates, keeps a lot of the same things, except you got these small, like Euro-sized cards. So from a storage perspective, it's easy to keep the box. It's a very small box. Even the small box is too big for what it is. And it does add a very interesting wrinkle where the only way you could score, so you have a hand of cards with all the different colors from Tigris and Euphrates. The only way you could actually score points is if you have a card in your hand of that color. So you actually have to give up a card as one of the point cards.
Yeah.
So it adds an additional challenge to the game. So you can't just be like, oh, you know what? I want to score in green. Boom, I'm going to score in green. If you don't have that leftover green card, you can't even score green. So if people want an additional challenge, it's something to look into. I believe that game is still in print. It is 2005, so it falls under the criteria for this list. If you like T&E, and it sounds like you do, you might be checking that one out.
I need to definitely look at that.
I really like that mechanic of game. It Arboretum.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too.
Similar thing. And instantly, I'm like, I really like that, where you really need to like think about what do I need to hold, when can I play it. Should I risk playing this and possibly getting another one, whatever? I don't know if you're drawing or what exactly, but this idea of like, do I play, need to keep, when do I play? I really like that dynamic in a game, right? Like, it's very interesting for my brain to, I like that. It's very satisfying.
I like when the game challenges you on a whole other level with those really, really tough decisions. That's always very neat. I know for some people they don't like that, but it works for me. And the last game I'm going to mention is this game right here, Tower of Babel. And this game, it's almost like back in the early 2000s in Europe, beige was like a very popular color because you know, it's like the blue for them or something. I don't get it. Again, it's not very pretty looking. I'm not even going to show you the board because that's not going to sell the game at all.
I just saw a picture of the board. That looks awful.
The board is terrible. But I really, really like this game. It's an area majority, kind of like almost semi-co-op, in the sense that players are collaborating to build these wonders of the world, and there's 8 wonders, with the Tower of Babel being the 8th wonder. And players have to like offer resource cards to the active player, and the active player has to choose among all the different offers. And whoever he accepts the offer of, that person gets to combine with the active player, place their workers or their pieces on the different areas to try to build that area majority. And whoever gets their offer turned down gets a consolation prize of a few victory points here and there. But it's really, really neat. You also have a set collection where you're collecting tokens of the different resources you're using to build these wonders. And if you get a certain amount within that set, you get additional points. And it also has this progressive scoring track where all the different areas that you're vying for majority in, they don't score the same. Instead, in each subsequent area that gets completed, you go down the scoring track, and it's going to get additional points for the person who finishes first, the person who finishes second. So even timing when you complete one of these wonders is very, very important. And also figuring out whose offer you're going to, pick, because again, whoever you allow to join you in that building, you're going to be helping them out. So you got to keep a track of who's in the lead, who's your biggest competition, all that stuff. Really, really neat. I feel that if this game had great components, it would be really, really neat. But again, you kind of have to get past that. I think that some of the pieces you use to place on the board are okay, but yeah, the board is hideous.
Well, this is I want to play this game. This sounds... I think Max will really love it, and I really want to try this game. Tower of Babel. It sounds interesting. Yeah. Oh, see, we knew you'd be teaching us some games, showing us some games. So okay, yeah.
Also, we're gonna have to try to play now.
Yeah, right. Oh, dang. Okay, yeah. And I'm curious to see how many review videos are out for some of these older ones, because
not many, especially Tower of Babel.
Yeah, that would be fun as shit to do. Yeah.
Among all of these.
Did you have any other ones that you picked out that you wanna go through?
You can teach. I guess I had one last one. Roombound 2nd edition. This is another, just like Carpets on the Cast, another proud Grail game of mine that I got maybe 5-6 months ago. Really cool. I was a big fan of Roombound the 3rd edition, but I've always heard people compare the two, and lots of people would prefer 2nd edition over 3rd edition. And I saw some reviews online, and I said, you know what? There's a good chance I probably would prefer 2nd edition also. So I went in. I found it for a really good price. I bit the bullet, bought it, and started playing it, and have really enjoyed it.
Okay. Dang, I don't have enough money to be buying all these. Are we starting a Patreon so we can get games to review?
Just write it off on the taxes.
Write it off on the taxes. Hey, if we ever do LLC, we can do that.
There we go.
Yeah, holy crap. Okay, you've given us a whole bunch of games that we need to look into and try. So, dang, okay, yeah. Oh, there's just... Our list of games that we need to be playing just keeps growing, and Max being out for a month has really hit that, hindered us playing a whole bunch of them. But, luckily he's out now, so we can start. We're gonna be doing a bunch this weekend.
Perfect.
But yeah, this has been a fantastic talk. Learned a bunch of new games, so we really appreciate that. and we will definitely have to have you on again for another chat. I love going down rabbit holes on these and chats and just getting to chat with other board game people around the country, the world. Harry, is there anything that you want to plug? Anything you want to tell the listeners?
Yeah, well, check me out on YouTube at When Harry Met Board Games, on Instagram When Harry Met Board Games7 again. We try to keep consistent content. We have top 10s, board game reviews, board game playthroughs every single week. And yeah, we're growing slowly but surely, and just having lots of fun. So if you're interested, check us out, When Harry Met Board Games on YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah, go check them out. Well, thank you. And I think by the time this comes out, this will be tomorrow. So I guess if you're listening to this, hang on, let me check real quick.
Are you talking about for the giveaway? We are very, very close. Instagram has hit its goal. YouTube is super close to hitting the goal.
We have 21 more subscribers to YouTube, and we'll announce the winner. So go check out the Instagram page if that probably will not hit by tomorrow. But go check that out. And Harry, thank you for joining us so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. An absolute pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Until next week, we will see everyone later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.